the network issue is happening. So that time I cut out, and now I come back. So I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and also I has started winter art challenge from today onwards. So I first task was waking in the early morning. That's the main means one of the difficult part for me, because in the as per the hostel students, they can't sleep earlier, so they can't wake up in the early mornings. That's the main problem for us. But as I am in home, and some other things as well, but I manage somehow, and I wake up in the morning, and I went to the ground. There I do some first I wake up at 4:35, I think. And so means in within 5 minutes I get up ready and went to the ground. There I have do some exercise, normal exercise, and push up, pull ups, and for as I promised, I will improve my calisthenic skills in this winter challenge. So that I have done some pike push up, deep push up. As here is the available that roads, so I can do that type of push up here. So I have done that also, and high jump as well. And yeah, that's the things I have done in the for our health, and for our as today is the Navratri, so we were invited, means me and my friends, to visit my friends, one of my friends. But I say organize means a small party of after the Navratri. So we went there, means two places, means two friends. So we visited there, and as well as in the plus Visarjan, we also participated on that. So that whole day went went on all those things, but somehow I managed all those things, and I have uh, worked for my means one intensive that I was doing in online mode. So I have completed that task, as I have to complete that things as well. Because that's internship I was doing in online mode from IIT Hyderabad. So that's I have done today, and I revised my syllabus, transportations, and as well as IIRS syllabus, and as well as from today, means not today, but after that, for my self improvement, I read this book, as I am doing from last 26 days. So that's the things I have done. As I think, yes, one thing I missed today, that's the early morning bath. Means not early morning bath, but cold bath. That's I miss. But from next day, I will try to take bath just after coming from ground, so that I can follow winter challenge 100%. I think I have to means I think I have to take 7 days. Means I required 7 days to come back in complete routine or complete habit. 7 days is enough. Just because I was doing exercise in the evening time, but just I have to shift in the morning. That's the main part of winter I challenge. For I mean, it's difficult for me. If I shifted my exercise in the early morning, then everything is go well, because I have already doing that things. And from next day onwards, I will shoot all those video and post on winter challenge playlist. And as I am reading the books, I have completed one chapter in the first part of today, 20 26th day of improving communication skill, and this is the part 2 of day 26. So in this, I have already read it second chapter, means how the quest for a financial dream turns into financial nightmare. This is the second part of the first lesson. I have read it one page. So the next page is the number one expense for most people in Texas. Many people thinks it's income tax, but for most Americans, their highest tax is social security. as an employee, it appears as if the social security tax combined with the Medicare tax rate is roughly 7.5%, but it's really 15% since the employer must match the social security amount. In in essence, it is money the employer cannot pay you. On top of that, you still have to pay income tax on the amount deducted from your wage for social security tax. Income you never received because it went directly to social security through withholding. Going back going back to the young couple, as a result of their income increasing, they decide to buy the house of their dreams. Once in their house with a mortgage, they have a new tax called property tax. Then they buy a new car, new furniture, and new appliance to match their new house. All of a sudden, they wake up in and their liabilities column in full of mortgage and credit cards debt. Their liabilities go up as the things going up. Income will increase. Income will increase. Expense will also increase, and liability will also increase because we haven't buy assets. Assets means that's give you money, and liabilities means where we have spent money and uh, we can't earn money from that. They are not trapped in the rat race. Pretty soon, a baby comes along and they worked harder. Means before that, in lesson two, just things started with like two intelligent guy, means one girls and one boy, married, means highly intelligent. They are working in a companies and they are was earning. Initially, they are living in an apartment, but they think after times that apartment was not good, so they think to buy a dream house where they can live and also their future kids will be live there. So they shifted in new house there. They have to buy homes. Means first they have to buy their homes, then some cars, then furniture and all those things. There they have to pay taxes and all those things. So as the income will increase, because two guy means one person, one income, two-person, two incomes. As the income increase, expenses increase, and as income and then they buy new house, then liabilities will increase. And they are not trapped in the rat race. Pretty soon, a baby comes along and they work harder. The process repeats itself. Higher income causes higher taxes, also called bracket trip. A credit card comes in the mail. They use it and max it up. A loan company calls and say their greatest assets, their home, has appreciated in value because their credit is so good. The company offers a bill consolidations loan and tell them the intelligent things to do is clear off the high interest consumer debt by paying off their credit card. And besides, mortgage interest is a tax deduction. They go for it and pay off those high interest credit cards. They breathe a sigh of relief. Their credit cards are paid off. They have now folded their consumer debt into their home mortgage. Their payment go down because they extend and they extend their debt over 30 years. It is the smart things to do. They never cost to invite them to go shopping. The memorable day sale is on. They promise themselves they will just window shop, but they take a credit card just in a case. I run into the young couple all the time. Their names change, but their financial dilemma, they, dilemma. Okay, dilemma, dilemma is the same. They comes to one of the talk to her. They come to one of my talk to hear that I have to say. They ask me, "Can you tell us how to make more money?" They don't understand that their trouble is really how they choose to spend the money they do have. Okay. They don't understand that their trouble is really how to choose to spend the money they do have. It is caused by financial literacy, not understanding the difference between an assets and liability. More money seldom solves someone's money problems. Intelligence solves problems. Intelligence solves problem. There is a saying. There is a saying. Friend. There is a saying. There is a saying. A friend of mine uses over and over to people in debt. If you find if you find you have dug yourself into a place in a hole, not digging, stop digging. Oh, holy shit, what I am doing. More money seldom solves More money seldom solves someone's money problems. Intelligent solves problem. There is a saying a friend of mine uses over and over to people in debt. If you find you have dug yourself into a hole, stop digging. As a child, my dad often told us that Japanese were aware of three power: the power of sword, the jewel, and the mirror. The sword symbolized the power of weapon. America has spent trillions of dollars on weapon, and because of this is powerful military presence in the world. The jewel symbolized the power of money. There is some degree of truth to the saying. Remember the golden rule. He he who has the gold makes the rule. He who has the gold makes the rule. The mirror symbolizes the power of self-knowledge. The self-knowledge, according to Japanese legend, was the most treasured of three. Most treasured of three. All to obtain. The poor and middle class allow the power of money to control them by simply getting up and working harder, failing to ask themselves if what they do makes sense. They shoot themselves in the foot as they leave for work every morning. By not fully understand money, the vast majority of people allow its awesome power to control them. If they use the power of the mirror, they would have asked themselves, does this make sense? A lot too often, instead of trusting their inner wisdom, the genius inside, most people follow the crowd. They do thinking because everybody else does them. They conform rather than questions. Often they mindlessly repeat what they have been told. Diversify. Your home is an asset. Your home is a bigger investment. You get a tax break for going into greater debt. Get a safe job. Safe job. Get a safe job. Don't make mistake. Don't take risks. It is said that the fear of public speaking is a fear greater than depth of the most people. It is said that the fear of public speaking is a fear greater than depth for most people. According to psychiatrists, the fear of public speaking is caused by the fear of ostracism, that the fear of standing out, the fear of criticism, the fear of ridicule, and the fear of being an outcast. The fear of being different prevent most people from seeking new ways to solve their problems. That is why educated dad said that Japanese value the power of mirror the most. For it is only when we look into that we that we find truth. Fear is the main reason. Fear is the main reason that people say play it safe. that goes for nothing, by it sports, relationships, career, or money. It is the same fear, the fear of ostracism that causes people to conform to and not question commonly accepted opinions or popular trends. Your home is an asset. Get a bill consolidation loan and get out of debt. Work harder. It's promotion. Someday I will be a vice president, same money. When I get a rise, I will buy as a bigger house. Mutual funds are safe. Many financial problems are caused by trying to keep up with their journeys. Occasionally, we all need to look in the mirror and be true to our inner wisdom rather than our fear. By the time Mike and I were 16-year-old, we began to have problems in a school. We were not bad kids. We just began to separate from crowd. We worked for Mike's dad after our schools and on weekends. Mike and I often spent hours after work just sitting at a table with his dad while he held meeting with his banker, attorney, accountants, brokers, investors, managers, and employees. Here was a here was a man who had left schools at 13, who was now instructing, ordering, and asking questions of educated people. They came at his beck and call and cringed when he didn't approve of them. Here was a man who had not gone along with the crowd. He was a man who did his own thinking and detested the words. We have to do it this way because of that's the way everyone else does it. He also hated the word cannot. If you wanted him to do something, just say, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it. Mike and I learned more sitting in one on his meeting than we did in all our years of our school, college included. Mike's dad was not book smart, but he was financially educated and successful as a result. He told us over and over again an intelligent person hires people who are more intelligent than he is. So Mike and I had so Mike and I had the benefit of spending hours listening to and learning from intelligent people. But because of this, Mike and I could not go along with the standard dogma our teachers praised, and that caused problems. Whenever the teacher said, "If you don't get good grades, you would not do well in the real world," Mike and I just raised our eyebrow when we were told to follow set procedure. When we were told to follow set procedure and don't deviate it from the rules. We could see how school discouraged creativity. We started to understand why our rich and dad told us that a school was designed to produce good employees instead of employers. Occasionally, Mike or I would ask our teachers how what we studied was applicable. Occasionally, Mike or I would ask our teachers how what we studied was applicable in the real world, or why we never studied money and how it worked. To the later questions, we often got to the answer that money was not important, that if we excelled in our education, the money would follow. The more we knew about the power of money, the more distant we grew from the teachers and our classmates. The highly educated dad never pressed the highly educated dad never pressed me about my grade, but we did begin to argue about money. By the time I was 16, I probably had a far better foundation with money than both my parents. I could keep books. I listened to tax accountant, corporate attorney, bankers, real estate brokers, investors, and so forth. By contrast, my dad talked only to other teacher. One day, my dad told me that our home was his greatest investment. A not too pleasant argument took place when I showed him why I thought a house was not a good investment. I thought. A not too pleasant argument took place when I showed him why I thought a house was not a good investment. You can see here, rich dad asset as liability, balance it, and poor dad asset liabilities, is home. Rich dad thinks that liabilities means home is a liabilities, and poor dad thinks that assets means home is assets. That's the difference between both. The diagram above will state the difference in preception. Uh, the diagram above illustrates the differences perceptions between my rich dad and poor dad when it comes to their homes. One dad thought it one that thought his house was an asset, and the other that thought it was liability. I remember when I drew the plowing diagram for my dad, showing him the direction of cash flow. I also showed him the ancillary expenses that went along with owning the home. A bigger home meant bigger expense, and the cash flow kept going out through the expense column. Yeah, as a bigger home meant bigger expenses, and the cash flow kept going out through the expense column. As in my house, means one, two, three, four, four fan is there. One fan is here in this room that's not working, just because we used three fans, and generally it's used when some functions is happening in our family members, then it's people stay in this room, then we use this fan. But as if you know, okay, as much as you use machines, then that will fan. If you don't use that machines, then it will go uh, what can I say, means खराब होना means go bad or some issues created on that. So same things goes with that fan. And as we know, if we expend more, then there is more expenses will be rise. Means we have to add lights with fans and everything because we have expended all. So a bigger home means bigger expenses, and that is the liabilities, not the assets. Income. Assets, liabilities, motors. You can see from next day I will share the pages as I have to problem. Liabilities, expenses, and then happening. Today people still challenge me on the idea of a house not being an asset. I know that for many people it is their dream as well as their largest investment, and owning your home is better than nothing. I simply offer an alternate way of looking at this popular dogma. If my wife and I were to buy a bigger, flashier house, we realize it wouldn't be an asset. It would be liability since it would take money out of our pocket. So here is the argument I put forth. I really don't expect most people to agree with it because your home is an emotional thing, and when it comes to money, high emotions tend to lower financial intelligence. I know from personal experience that money was I know from personal experience that money has a way of making every decision emotional. When it comes to house, most people work all their lives. When it comes to houses, most people work all their lives paying for a home they never owned. In the other words, most people buy a new house every few years, each time incurring a new 30 years loan to paying off the previous one. Even though people receive a tax deduction from the for interest on mortgage payment, they pay for all their own other expenses with after tax dollars. Even after they pay off their mortgage. My wife's parents were shocked when the property taxes on their home increased $2,000 a month. They had already retired, so the increase put a strain on their budget. House House don't always go up in value. I have friend who owe $1 million for a home that today would sell for fat less. The greatest losers of all or those from missed opportunity. If all your money is tied up in your horses, you may be forced to work harder because your money continues blowing out of the expenses column instead of adding to the asset column. The classic middle class cash flow pattern. If a young couple would put more money into their asset column early on, their later year would be easier. Their assets would have grown and would be available to help cover expenses. Making a decision to own a house that is too expensive in lieu of a starting an investment portfolio impact an individual in at least the following three ways. First, loss of time during which other asset could have grown in value. Loss of additional capital which could have been invested instead of paying high home maintenance expense. Loss of education. Loss of education. Too often people count their house and saving and retirement plans as well as all they have in their asset column because they have no money to invest. They simply don't invest. They this cost them in this cost them investment experience. Most never become what the investment world calls as a sophisticated investment investor, and the best investments are usually first sold to sophisticated investors who then turn around and sell them to the people playing it safe. I am not saying don't buy a house. What I am saying is that you should understand the difference between an asset and a liability. When I want a bigger house, I first buy assets that will generate the cash flow to pay for the houses. My educated dad's personal finance statement best demonstrates the lack of someone caged in the rat race. His expenses match his income, never allowing him enough left over to invest in assets. As a result, his liabilities are larger than his assets. In the illustrations below, you can see memorize this. From next day, I will share the screen because I'm seeing that's the not good things. In the in the illustrations below, the left shows my poor dad's income statement. It is worth 1,000 words. It shows that his income and expenses are equal while his liabilities are larger than his assets. Think. My rich dad's personal finance statement on the reflects the result of life dedicated to investing and minimizing liabilities. You can see uh, this one is for poor dad and this one is for rich dad. In poor dad, they have good income and expenses are almost equal, but liabilities is more, assets are less. But in rich dad, their income is greater than expenses as they have good assets, this high amount of assets and then liabilities. Means assets that generate income. You can think like that. So from next day, just few chapters are left in lesson 2. So it's okay. Next day I will complete all those means complete. I will complete second chapter. So okay guys, as I have covered all those things, and from today the next second day of my winter art challenge. So in that I will try to cover all those things I have done, reading books and all those. No. I need some days, means 2 or 3 days. As I reach to my college, then I will definitely add everything that I have done in whole day as winter art challenge. Still, you have to do all those things. So from next day, but as I missed mm, cold bath or early morning bath. So from next day, I will do in early as I have taken bath in the afternoon. So that's the things I will do. So So okay, guys, one important call. I will just one second. One of my friend, he has called me